Welcome back to part 2 of the HTC Vive facial tracking, Neos facial tracking in general, tutorial series. In this one we're going to go over setting up avatars. That includes the free, in quotes, facial tracking that you get by default on any avatar, and the more advanced facial tracking called expressions that you get when you set it up manually. I'll be talking about everything, showing how it works and going through all the settings. We'll also be providing some example avatars and how to set those up, just so that you get familiar with the steps and you can watch me going through them. Before I get into this part, I do want to say that this one is almost an emulation of the official video by the Neos team, where Frux takes you through all of these setup processes. So I'll link that one in the video description, along with the demo video that the team have also produced. I feel slightly bad for duplicating up content here, but the general principle I'm trying to stick to is that more information is always good. And so I'm doing my own take, my own path, my own explanation through this, and different people learn differently. So everything's linked to the video description to the originals, well, not the originals, but the ones from the team. And if you stay here and watch mine, or you go over there and watch Frux's, that's totally up to you. Whatever helps you learn the most, because we're all here to learn Neos together, and this is brand new technology, like it shipped less than a month ago. Let's go ahead and get started. If we hop over here into Smooth POV, you'll see that I have the, let's ignore the maths for a moment, we have the FaceBot from the Neos Essentials Avatars folder here in the world. This is one that I have stripped of all of the advanced facial tracking expressions, and it's left with just the Viseme-based facial tracking. I want to talk about how that works, so I'm going to go ahead and hop into it. It's a bit creepy ending up looking at myself here. Let me hop into third person here and zoom a little bit on my face. So here, zoomed into my face, I have none of the advanced facial tracking set up. It's just the free Viseme-based ones. So when I'm talking here, you can see that my face is moving, and that's because Neos is analyzing the voice coming out of my microphone and saying, hey, that looks like A, that looks like ooh, ee, ah, all that stuff. And that's how your mouths have usually been moving in Neos up until this point where facial tracking has been released. With the onset of facial tracking, Neos takes the facial tracking data and tries to apply it to those Visemes, such that without any advanced setup, you get a little bit of facial tracking for free. So here's an example. If I stop talking, you're still getting facial tracking data, but it's limited to just those Viseme shapes. So it's looking at the facial tracking data and saying, hey, that looks like the A Viseme, I'll apply that one. It looks like the E Viseme, I'll apply that one, etc., etc., etc. It's no way near as advanced as the full expressions that you can get out with the the fully featured facial tracking in Neos, but it does happen for free. Most avatars come with that sort of automatically plumbed in for you. Let's take a look at how that works under the hood, and then we'll go over the advanced stuff. There will be timestamps in the video description here to navigate you around, just in case you want to skip through and watch exactly the stuff you're looking through. Let's go ahead, hop back into me, and I'll set up the FaceBot. Let me remember to, in previous take I kept forgetting to de-zoom out, so there we go. I'm now zoomed out. You'll need a developer tooltip for this. You can find it at Essential Tools. Once you've got that, let's go ahead and hop into Smooth POV and get it done. So here I'm going to go ahead and inspect the avatar. This will teach you a good lesson, which I usually teach, which is how to find the shape keys. When you inspect something, you usually end up on a bone. So in this case, I'm on the head bone. To get to the root of the avatar, use the fat up arrow, which is the up arrow on the left here. That'll take you to the root of the avatar. Inside the root of the avatar, you'll usually see centered root, and then in some cases root node, or if it's a really custom avatar, you won't. But the principles remain. Navigate down the hierarchy till you find something called body. Don't look in the proxies. It's never usually in the proxies. It shouldn't be, at least. And in some cases it might be in the armature, but it's really rare. It should be under root node, and it'll be called body or face or something like that. So I'm going to select body here. On the right here, you'll see we've now got a skinned mesh render. If you see that, that's a really good sign. Scroll through it, and then you'll see blend shape weights, and then underneath that, immediately at the top here, you'll see that we've got the standard naming for the VRC Viseme shape. So Archer, D, E, all of those. These are the ones that are driven by the sounds that you make into your microphone. There are a bunch of shape keys below this, and we'll be talking about those later, including all of the facial tracking shape keys, but let's go right the way down to DirectVisemeDriver, because this is where that free facial tracking, as I said, comes from. So here you'll see that this component has a new value. I did go over this component, and I do recommend you taking a look at the manual Viseme setup video I have, which will give you more information on this stuff here. But the new parts here are on DirectVisemeDriver. The mouth tracking source has been added. Mouth tracking source will get filled automatically, usually when you equip the avatar to have the mouth data, mouth tracking or face tracking data in there. And so what this mouth tracking source does is it provides the data to DirectVisemeDriver, which then will change these shape keys. And again, these are just Visemes. They're just, the PP, FF, TH, DD, etc. It will just try and drive those based on the shape of your mouth. An important thing to note here is that there's a voice mouth suppress weight. Now this has a large amount of maths behind it, which I do have to the right, and it will be in the video description about how it works. But once I did some napkin maths in a notepad document, I figured out basically what it does. This may be wrong or slightly out of date, but do just keep in mind that with the suppression weight and another weight that you'll see later on the video, the best way to look at it and figure out what it does is to experiment in front of a mirror, like there's a mirror in this world. Talk, don't talk, move the mouth around, don't move the mouth around, adjust things to your specifications. The reason why I say specifications is your avatar might be different. Its blend shapes might be more drastic or less drastic. Your mouth might be less drastic or more drastic. For example, some people speak with more enthusiasm, more sort of differentiation in their mouth shapes. Additionally, some languages have more varied mouth shapes, more varied pronunciation structures, different pronunciations, different mouth shapes because of the different letters and pronunciation that they have. It all depends on your individual circumstances, so I do agree that you should just experiment with this. For a brief summary though, the voice mouth suppress weight is how much volume should affect the mouth track shapes. Should the Visemes take over when you're talking? And in this case, at a high voice mouth suppress weight, max weight, mouth result, yeah, so at a high weight, like 0.9, which is the default, it means that the voice Visemes will take over when you're talking. This is a good thing, as some cases when you're moving your mouth around to just make noises, to form words, etc., it may look like you're doing some of the facial tracking shapes, but you're not. You're just actually, you're just saying a word. For example, a word of a plosive might look like the pout facial tracking shape, but it's not. It's just because you're moving your lips together to make that plosive sound. If you want to know more about that sort of area, you should look into a video that I'll link in the video description by Tom Scott, who goes into a lot of sort of linguistical stuff where he talks about sort of sounds that could exist but don't in various languages. It's a great video that came to mind just as I was talking about this, so I'll link in the video description. So that is the voice mouth suppress weight, and that is the free facial tracking that you get on most avatars. Let's now go into the advanced facial tracking. Actually, before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the component down here that you might be seeing, which is AvatarMouthDataSourceAssigner. AvatarMouthDataSourceAssigner is the component which is assigning the mouth tracking source when I equip the avatar. Let's go ahead and equip that. I'm just going to double check. Yep, there we go. So if I equip this, head round to the inspector I had open, you'll see here that now I've equipped the avatar. The mouth tracking source is assigned to Mouth Tracking Stream Manager on my user. The component here, AvatarMouthDataSourceAssigner, is what's handling that. So I'm going to hop back into my avatar. I just prefer editing things in my avatar these days. Talk about how this component works. So this component is added by free. Usually it's added near the DirectVisemeDriver, but if it isn't, or there's a problem with it, you might have to do it manually. This is similar to the cases where I do eye tracking setup manually or Viseme setup manually. I'll link both of those videos in the video description, and I'll show you how it works. So what you do is you go to, this is only if it doesn't work. You don't need to do it if it does work. Attach component, users, common avatar system, scroll to face. Once you're on face, go to AvatarMouthDataSourceAssigner, and that'll add one there. I'm going to go ahead and delete the old one just so we can set it up properly. This mouth data source assigner is quite simple. What it does is when the avatar is equipped by a user, it will set the target reference here to the mouth data source if the target reference is set. Right now it's null, so it won't do anything. What you want to set it to for the DirectVisemeDriver is you want to grab source up here. So source is, oh, not source, mouth tracking source, and drop it into target reference down here, and then it will get everything assigned once you equip the avatar. Like I said, that should be done automatically for you, but in some cases it won't. For example, in my avatar it wasn't, and that's because my audio setup is quite unique because I have a removable face. So many people don't realize I have that, so yeah, my face gets removed, and yeah, facial tracking works when it's off my actual face. So it's quite fun. Cool, so that will be there unless something drastically goes wrong. All right, let's now go on to the advanced expressions that I was talking about. For that, we'll need another component, and again, we'll be adding it to the nearest FaceBot here. So go to Attach Component, Users, Common Avatar System, Face, and then AvatarExpressionDriver right at the top here. AvatarExpressionDriver has a lot going on, and I want to talk about a lot of it, but I want to talk about it in a way that makes sense. Most of the time, though, what you can do is just go ahead and immediately, out of the gate, just hit this auto assign blend shapes button, but I do want to talk about some stuff before we do that. So the AvatarExpressionDriver will take the mouth tracking data, it will take the volume data of, the volume coming out of your microphone, the silence source. Silence source is basically the silence Viseme that comes out of the Viseme analyzer, and it will figure out, based on the mouth tracking data that's available, what Viseme should I apply based on the expression we think you're doing. And it's important that I say think, and that's because it's computers, they're not perfect. Everything here is based on guesswork. There'll be more about that when we go into scripting, but just note that it's doing its best to guess, and you're instructing it what to do when it guesses. So what most people will do is they just whack this button here, which says auto assign blend shapes. What this does is it goes through the blend shape list on the same slot. So here it's going to go through the blend shapes on the ones above here, this big list up here, and it's going to figure out, based on the naming of the blend shape, what one can I apply here. Let's actually go up and take a look at one as an example here. So what we have here is mouth smile left. So there's an expression on the expression driver called smile left, and it's going to read through the name of this and go, hey, I see smile and I see the word left, and I can assign it. And it goes through that, doing sort of, pattern matching, string matching, etc., and tries to figure out what can I do to help you out. Sometimes it's wrong, but most of the time it's actually quite close to being spot on. So let's go ahead and hit this button. With this button hit, you'll see we've now got 36 expressions driven here. I'm going to go right up to the top here and see what's at the top so I can talk about it again, and you're grounded and familiar with what's going on here. You'll see the expression drivers list is where these have been added. You'll also see the silence source has been mapped. In addition to this, the data source here is the mouth tracked data source. You don't need a mouth data source assigner for this. It will pick it up magically from, I think, the DirectVisemeDriver and apply it here once you hook up the avatar. Again, if that doesn't work, use the AvatarMouthDataSourceAssigner like I had to do for my face, but most of the time it should pick it up from the DirectVisemeDriver. Volume source right here is null. It doesn't need to be a value, but if you've got a value available, put it in there. What I usually use for that is the volume coming out of a volume meter component. I'll link a video tutorial to get that set up. But if it finds the silence source, totally fine. Even if it doesn't, it'll still work. So going through here, you'll see that it's assigned various shape keys to these expressions. I want to give an example here, but to do that I need to scroll all the way up and show you what's happened. So you'll now see that a bunch of shape keys up here, tons and tons and tons, are now pink, and that means they're driven, and they're driven by the expression driver. Let's go down and take a look at one down here. I'm going to skip the tongue ones just for now because they're a little bit less clear. Smile's a perfect example here. So in this case, what it's looking at is it's saying, hey, when I detect smile left, drive this shape key. Now, in Neos right now, we can't actually see which shape key it's driving, but if I hit this button, see we get the list up here, and you can go down and you'll see it's actually smile left here. Just to prove that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clear the target here. I'm going to click this little X on the right here. And you'll see smile left has become unassigned here. If I want to reassign it, I just grab smile left and drop it in. So that's assigning. You can also do this manually. I want to describe how to do that before I go into anything else. So if I go all the way down to the list, I can add another one, and we'll talk about how this works. So another one's added, so this one added is 37. You'll see here that there's a target. The target is just the shape key that we want to drive, so let's go down the list and find one that's not driven. We'll do E here, so E isn't driven, and there's this shape keys, so I can go ahead and grab E, drop it into target, and now that's driven. The expression beneath that is the expression you want to apply E to. So in this case, we can choose smile, or we can go left and right through what's called an enum technically, but it's basically just a list of expressions. So we've got smile, smile left, smile right, smirk left, smirk right, frown, lips, tongues, faces, all sorts of stuff. It just keeps going. It's a really big list. Do bear in mind you can go backwards through it if you like, and that sometimes is faster. But just, go through them. It does take a little while, but it's totally worth it. You get such a more expressive avatar once it's all done. So that is assigning them manually. I now want to talk about minimum and maximums. So the minimum is the minimum value that shape key can be. So if you ever had a shape key that needs to be partially on for the avatar to look logical for some reason, you can set minimum to greater than 0. Maximum is the maximum value that it can be. An example that you might want to do this for is say that the full value of a shape key is too extreme. Like say we had a jaw open here, that when it was maximum jaw open, the jaw looked ridiculous. You could drive the max down a little bit, say to 0.5. What that would mean is half the value of jaw open would be applied to the avatar when the jaw open was detected by the mouth tracking. Beneath that is volume suppression strength. This is another one of these magic ones where I've got maths to the right of me. Volume suppression strength relies on, I almost go up to the top, sorry for all the scrolling around. It relies on the silent source and volume source here. If volume source is not assigned, it will use silent source, otherwise it will use volume source. The magic there is that it will for volume source, it does the raw volume source, and for silent source, it does the sort of inverse of that. So it takes silence and it minuses 1 off it to get a sort of volume based on the silence value. Then it takes all of that data, does a bunch of maths. Like I said, that'll be in the video description. And my summary over here on my napkin maths is, how much should volume suppress the mouth shapes? This separates facial movements made due to talking from facial movements for expression. So again, this one is designed to sort of separate the voice from the expressions that you're doing. Again, my total advice for it is to just play around. Even knowing the maths, I'm still like, oh, just play around. Drag this up and down until you're happy. Drag it up and down until it works for your individual avatar's needs. I honestly don't touch it that much at the moment, but I do need to tweak some of it on my own personal avatar a little bit later. The last slider here that we'll go over is the strength multiplier. Strength multiplier controls how strong everything should be. If you set this to a higher value than 1, it starts looking like those videos that are recorded for Gary's Mod, Half-Life 2. We've even seen some for games like Beyond Two Souls. I will link a few examples in the video description, but it's where they multiply the strength of the facial animations by sort of 500% in some cases, and everyone's face just sort of turns inside out and does crazy stuff. It's quite fun. You may need to do that if your shape keys are subtle, but most of the time you don't need to. If they're too strong as well, you can drop the strength multiplier below 1, which will enable you to do more subtle shape keys. So that is the expression driver. There's a lot going on there, I know. It's going to take you a while. It's going to take me a while to learn it. If you do have any questions, do drop them in the video comments and I will try and get back to you. If you'd like to know more information about volume, suppression, strength, and all sorts of stuff like that, do check the video description. There is some napkin maths there. I may open up an official request for the team to give a more thought out explanation of that based on the implementation detail rather than what I observed, because there's details lost there and me just looking at the maths. I now want to go on and show you how it works on some other avatars. So we're going to go ahead and hop into some other avatars. In some cases here, I don't have the avatar available in Neos. In one case I do. So we've got 2 avatars over here that I found shape keys on them that made me happy because they showed some stuff I wanted to teach. So on the left here, we have the Akita avatar by Zab. The Akita avatar is actually available in Neos in a world called Build an Akita. The model is also available on Sketchfab, so I will supply a link in the description to the Akita model on Sketchfab, but you can head over to Build an Akita if you want to take a look at it. So this avatar has a bunch of shape keys, but they're not named after the shape keys that are required for facial tracking, as the facial bot behind me is. So I want to show you how that works. So first of all, I'm going to hop into this one. And I'm going to turn around to third person and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hopefully remember to zoom out before I go to inspector land. But you can see here, I get that free facial tracking again, so I can stop talking and move my mouth around. And you'll see that we've got a limited amount of movement going on there. Let's go ahead and try setting up the expression driver and see what's happened with the free facial tracking as well. So I'm going to reset my camera, turn around, hop into this avatar and pull it out of the wall and then head into smooth POV. Let's go ahead and inspect this. You can skip this part of the video if you'd like. I'm just, showing you a few avatars and, where those shape keys are and how to get them set up. I'm using tracking on my left hand for some reason. I'll take a look at it later as well. Now go ahead and inspect the head here and go to Open Inspector. Hit this up arrow on the left, go inside Centered Root Node, and again, you'll see body. Like I said, just look for body. Once you get to body, you'll see a skin mesh renderer. Scroll down, and again, here's a bunch of shape keys. Now, you might not see shape keys here that you immediately think might map to those expressions, but I actually see a lot that do. For example, here we've got a sad shape key somewhere. I've lost track of it. There it is, right at the top, sad. So when I apply the sad shape key, you'll see that the avatar looks sad. So I could take sad and make it apply when the facial tracker looks at frown, as an example. So go ahead and get that done. Ignore the shape keys bouncing up and down here. These are just animations I've added to this avatar. I like showcasing this one as an example of how to do animations. If you're more interested in that, do let me know. I can drop some more video tutorials on that if you'd like. We've got things like chest movement, tail movement, eye twinkling, all sorts of setup, just sort of basic logics and shape keys. All right, let's go for the expression driver. So once again, attach component, users, common avatar system, face, avatar expression driver. And then we'll do auto because it does a few things for you, but I'm actually going to go ahead and delete the list here. It sets up silent source for me automatically, basically. I'm going to go ahead and add one. I'm going to scroll through till I find frown. I believe frown is just after smile, so I'm going to go through it. Frown, there it is. Frown also, by the way, is one that Doesn't matter if you're doing left or right, it just detects that you're doing frown overall. And so frown I wanted to apply to the shape key of sad. Let's go ahead and grab body of the side. So I'm grabbing body, turning to the left a little bit, pushing primary, and I get another inspector. That means I can freeform scroll through the shape keys till I find sad, and I can go ahead and drag sad onto the target here, and now when I frown in the avatar, sad will apply. So that's an example of where you can set up shape keys even if the avatar doesn't have the exact shape keys that you need. There's also other ones that I might do here. You can see there's happy left, happy right, wink left, wink right, left eye closed. I believe there's angry as well. There's even sort of eyes up, eyes down, eyes left. Lots of stuff here that you'll be able to apply to various expressions here, even if you don't have those shape keys assigned. So yeah, that's an example of that. The last one I wanted to do is something that does come up a lot in the NEOS community and also in other VR social platforms, is a Japanese model. So this is actually a paid model that's been edited by myself. I will link the, I believe it's Booth, but I'm not entirely sure. So I will link the source where I got this from. I can't give out because it, like I said, it's a paid asset. I've customized it a bit. This actually occurred. A friend and I both bought the model at the same time and challenged each other to sort of customize it how we looked. It was sort of an encouragement from me to learn editing of an avatar, and I actually like what I came up with. I restructured the scarf because I didn't like the default scarf, and I changed a brooch here that was like a fox to my mask. So I'll link that in the video description so you can take a look at it. I believe it's called a Dashino-kun. I'm going to pronounce that probably wrongly, so I will link that in the video description for you. So go ahead and take a look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and inspect the head. Open the inspector, go up to the root again, and you'll see again, root node, centered root, and then you'll see a lot of stuff here. In this case, if I go to body, there are shape keys on body, but these aren't. There's a hat. These aren't to do with the face. They're to do with stuff about the hair in this case. So I can move the hair around a little bit with this shape key. So as like I said, keep looking through and you might find something else. So here we see face. And face is the one that has all of the shape keys. So if you scroll through this, you'll see that there's a ton of shape keys here, but they're named a little bit weirdly, and in some cases they're named with just arrow symbols, or they're named with Japanese. So I think this is Japanese. I don't know what it means. I don't speak Japanese that well. You'll also see W a lot. It's just sort of a common sort of internet thing. I'm not actually quite sure what emotion W is, but you see it a lot in anime. The point here is that we have a lot of stuff here that, again, doesn't look like it can be compatible with the standard naming, but it actually is. As an example here, I figured out the other day that there are these blow shape keys, and I believe some of them, I'm probably not going to find them. Those are the eyebrows, actually. There was one I thought I saw. I think blow is actually brow. What was I looking for the other time? Is it mouth poke? I can't remember. There was one somewhere in this list here that was suitable for the pout shape key, and there was one that was suitable for the cheek suck and everything like that. And again, they weren't named appropriately, but again, I could assign them. So here we have what looks like a frown again. I'm not going to try and pronounce that, but we've got a frown, and I believe the other one is the opposite of that, so that's a smile. So again, here I could assign those to smile and frown. So let's do that. At this point, like I said, please feel free to leave off. I'm just going through it again so you learn it. So coming out to the system, face, AvatarExpressionDriver, go down to the bottom here. I'm going to go ahead and hit auto assign, see what happens. It got quite a lot there. I don't know if these are right. Let's take a look at what it assigned. It assigned quite a lot of them. I might hop in and see what we've got here. I haven't actually done this. Yeah, it hasn't done them appropriately. Let's go ahead, hop back and set these up again. So you can clear that list if they're set up incorrectly. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this. And then what was I going to set up? I said I was going to set up smile and frown, didn't I? Let's just get rid of a few more. Add, and then smile, which is already set up there. I'm going to go ahead, grab face, turn to the left, hit trigger, scroll through face, and I think it was mouth kaku. I don't really know what that means. Yeah, that's a smile. So I can take that one and I can apply it to smile here, and that will drop it back down to 0. There's probably a better smile somewhere in here. If I had more time and I wasn't recording a video, I would go through this avatar. I do sometimes use it, so I'll take a look later. Hop into this avatar, now smile is assigned, walk up to the mirror here, and if I smile, you can see that the smile goes up. The strength there is a little bit weak, so I might want to go ahead and whack that strength up. And now when I go over and smile, we get a full-on smile. So there you go. I'm going to leave off here, otherwise I'll be talking for a long time. This has been a 24-minute long video. Let me hop into third person. And I will get back to you next time with some actual, we're going to go into scripting sort of gestures and stuff like that. If you have any questions on all of that, I know that was a lot of data. Do remember there's timestamps in the video description. There's also the alternative videos by other tutorial creators. At the moment, just Freaks, but if anyone else makes a tutorial on facial tracking, let me know. I'll drop it there in the video description as well. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll get back to you soon with another video. Bye.